Welcome to MSG PM. We are in the studio. We love it here.
I love it here. It's so much more comfortable.
My partner, a.k.a. Batman, Kazim Famuide. I'm Monica McNutt. Disappointed in the squad. They messed up our record for our show.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. A wise man once said, we got cooked. And we kind of did a little bit. But you know what? We still here. Knicks fans, this is a safe space. We're going to talk things out. We'll be okay. We got Game 5. The series ain't over yet, Monica.
That is the bottom line.
Yet.
You're coming home to your faithful, to your sixth man in the garden. We finna get after it.
Let's
Rip
get
up
it.
the box score. Let's move on.
Let's get it.
Having said that, we're going to touch on the game a little bit longer, just a little bit, but we got more expertise coming in.
Absolutely. And what we do every time, we got our special guest, friend of the show, former New York Knick, once a Knick, always a Knick, coming to us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the one and only Steve Novak. What's going on, Novi?
Hey, Novi.
How are you guys? I guess we could be hanging out on better terms. I saw the shot of what the weather looks like outside. That's not looking good. I promise you, if you want to visit me in Milwaukee, it's actually better weather right now, and you might not have to deal with all the people that are mad in the streets right now.
Novak, let's not get too crazy, okay?
We'll let you keep that.
I'll take a rainy day in New York than any place in the world ever, all right? But it's all good. Let's talk about this game. Obviously, the Knicks go down to the Hawks. The series is now at 3-1. What did you specifically see with this last game, and what went wrong with the Knicks in Game 4?
I've continued to feel like as I watch this series that we are going to see Julius Randle be who he was all season and really get it going when the lights are the brightest in the playoffs, when Julius Randle needs to really, I think, cement what he has done all season, which has been fantastic. He has been the go-to guy and done so many good things. We've just not seen that. But we have seen, I think, Atlanta in a lot of ways really respond to that bell. Trae Young has been an absolute stud. He has continued to show people, I think, it's not a fluke, the turnaround season that Atlanta has had. It's not a fluke what he is doing. And so, to be honest, I was expecting today to be very different, where New York Knicks showed the defense we played all season long was going to be what we brought in this first-round series, and were able to impact Trae Young, take him out of what he continues to do so well. But that's not what I saw. Bogdanovich got going. John Collins, you got Gallinari. All these guys were getting to their spots, knocking down shots, flexing like that, looking like they're at home, which they are. But I think the Knicks, their strength has been taking teams out of what they do, frustrating teams. They got fouled too much. They got to the free throw line. Trae Young, he doesn't need help seeing the ball go through the hoop and knocking down some free throws. But everybody was knocking down free throws. Everybody was in rhythm. And if the Knicks are going to turn this series around, although they don't have much opportunity, they've got to be perfect from here on out. They got to keep Atlanta off that free throw line, and Trae Young has got to have one of those games where he is irritated, frustrated, and goes cold.
Yeah.
I think that's just what it's going to have to look like. Coach Tibbs is the guy that can certainly do that, and I think the Knicks have the personnel. They've proved that, but they got their work cut out for them.
They definitely do, Novi, do or die for real. Like, we toss it around a little bit, but this is it.
This is it.
You mentioned it in terms of this defense. The adage is defense travels. Okay, bearing that in mind, what are your expectations for Game 5? Or should there be an asterisk on that statement in that defense may not travel from the regular season to the postseason?
No, I think you're right. Defense is supposed to travel. It's a lot of times in the NBA, it's called control the controllables. And if one thing you do great is play defense, that's an energy. That's something you've practiced over and over. You can do your job so the guy behind you can do his job. And the next guy can do his job. And that's what coaches like Coach Thibodeau preach is you take care of your guy. If the game plan is to keep your guy on the sideline so we can have somebody waiting for him on the block, do your job so he can do his. And so, to be honest, it should be something that can travel. And I do think the Knicks have proven over a very long period of time in the regular season, albeit regular season, they can take teams out of what they want to do. In the playoffs, obviously, the game slows down. Stars do play more minutes. It gets harder, not easier. And so I think we have to give credit to Atlanta, the way that they've stepped up and been able to respond to the Knicks defense that they showed all year. But I would not count the Knicks out at this point. They've shown they are a team of toughness. They've got veterans like D. Rose and Taj Gibson that can come out there and make statements and still get things done. And so it'll be interesting, but it will be a defense and toughness aspect that is going to change this series if the Knicks have a chance.
Look, I got my pants on. Novio, I'm like, I'm with it.
Listen,
I'm feeling that.
The city of Atlanta and
like
the state
that.
of Georgia has seen some legendary choke jobs in their sports lately. So let's put that aura out there. Let's put it in there. Let's get to the rest of the Eastern Conference. Novak, your Milwaukee Bucks are looking really good going into the next round. The one thing Knicks fans have been telling fans from Florida all afternoon is, at least we didn't get swept. At least we didn't get swept. The Bucks did the job against the Heat. Talk to me about your team, Steve.
No, my Milwaukee Bucks, you're right. I'm in Milwaukee doing broadcasts for them, and it's a pleasure because they are doing a lot right. Look, Giannis Antetokounmpo, everybody knows who he is, what he does, but the difference this year, I think you really just saw it. Everybody said, is the team that different? Are they that good? Should we really be talking about them as a contender? I do think Miami was actually as bad as Milwaukee was good, so I'll say that first and foremost. But Milwaukee had a lot to do with that, and the fact that Brook Lopez is having a 25-point game last game, Chris Middleton continues to be a big-time perimeter threat, knock down shots and make it look easy, and the absolute X factor for this Bucks team is Drew Holiday. The addition of him, his ability to get Giannis, Chris Middleton, guys like Bryn Forbes coming off the bench, the ball on time, on target, in their spots, is really making this team a contender. And I do think that the Bucks may have put the league on notice as far as we just swept the Miami Heat. That was not supposed to happen. They are very different than last year. Miami was the team that knocked the Bucks out of the playoffs last year in the bubble. And I think we're looking at a very different team and a very focused Giannis and a healthy Bucks team. So I do think they are an absolute contender at this point. That sweep was very telling.
Okay. Contender means that they're going to get through the looming, presumed next round opponent, unless the Boston Celtics do some other worldly type
unless
stuff.
Jason Tatum drops 50 again, I don't know.
75. So your big three, Middleton, Holiday, Antetokounmpo. The Brooklyn Nets big three, what do you see there?
Like you said, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Although, are we kidding ourselves? If Tatum can get 55, 60 for a couple more times, they have a chance. But otherwise, you're right. It could very much be Bucks and Brooklyn, and I do think that this will be the championship series. I think the winner of this series will be the NBA champion, and I do believe it comes down to that series will come down to defense. Let's be honest, Kyrie, Harden, and KD are not known for being good defenders. Mike D'Antoni, Steve Nash, those are not defensive coaches. They have a high-powered offense, and if the Bucks can find a way to disrupt those big three, and I'm not saying that's something that's easy to do, but if there's somebody suited to do it, Giannis Antetokounmpo out there willing to guard a Jimmy Butler in the Miami series, he wants that task. He's a defensive player of the year. Brook Lopez is an anchor back at the rim. Drew Holiday is considered the best, possibly the best guard defender in the NBA, and Chris Middleton has guarded guys like Kawhi Leonard in playoff series and had a lot of success. So I do think the Bucks have a very real chance, although it could be a very long and awesome series to watch. I do think that the Bucks could come out of that series, although Brooklyn has, I think, the greater offensive firepower. That's hard to debate. I think it's going to be a heck of a series.
Novak, Monica, let's not put too much dip on that chipper real quick because Jason Tatum did drop 50. The series ain't over yet. It's 2-1. Possibility to be a 2-2 series. Milwaukee, enjoy the rest. Novak, you got to talk to me about that show Jason Tatum put on the other night. Against the big three, without Jaylen Brown, with a lot of injuries, he stepped up. Talk to me about it.
Yeah. He really did step up, and I think he really just showed how great he can be. He can be a one-man show that can beat a Brooklyn Nets team. When you have the Brooklyn Nets going for 41, going for 39, Harden, Kyrie, KD, both putting up big-time numbers, Tatum did overcome that. He has the ball in his hands, and you're seeing some of these shots he's hitting. He's off balance. He is getting shots at the rim, in the mid-range, facing guys up, taking them off the dribble. It really is impressive, I think, to see, like you said, what he's done. And so we should not write the Boston Celtics off. I think it's almost more the sex appeal. The talk about Brooklyn already has them in the championship. But Tatum, he has shown, I think, that he is on another level. He continues to get better. And let's be honest, the Boston Celtics, to be a contending team, although Jaylen Brown is banged up and out right now, they're going to need Tatum to continue to improve and continue to have more 50-point games just like that.
All right, Novi, elsewhere in the East, Sixers look poised to sweep the Washington Wizards. Your boy, Joel Embiid. Apparently voiced to the media that the Wizards should double team him, which, I mean, duh.
I agree.
They probably should, but like, come on, Joel.
Hey, I guess he's probably right. I mean, he's going off for, what, he had 30 in game 2. I think he had 36 in game 3 or 4. He's going off for 30-point games, and he's doing it efficiently. To see him stepping outside and knocking down threes, I'm not real sure how you're going to go double team that. But when he gets that ball on the block, if you're not going to double Joel Embiid, a healthy Joel Embiid who's in rhythm, he is going to give you problems. And so I'm not sure it's in his best interest for him to be telling the Washington Wizards to maybe double him. I think maybe if they don't want to, he should just leave that alone and go off for 40 or 50. But he's having an MVP year. He's been in that conversation all year long. And let's be honest, they're not going to get stopped with Joel Embiid scoring 35, 40 points a night.
Embiid was doing everything, all types of buckets from all over the court. It was incredible to see. But another thing that was a little bit incredible to see on the opposite side was early in the series, obviously fans are being welcomed back into the stadiums, and Russell Westbrook was a victim of a fan, I guess, assault. Misdemeanor.
I would say misconduct, but assault, yeah.
Popcorn was dumped on his head. We almost had a Mouse in the Palace Part 2 pop off real quick. Talk to me about the fan interaction between NBA stars and where the line is when it comes to this, because it seems to have happened here, it happened in Philly, and it also happened in Utah with John Morant's family.
I think, Kaz, you just said it. There is a very fine line. Look, I played with Russell Westbrook. He's fired up and ready to fight guys pretty much most points in the day. But if you dump popcorn on him, you're probably going to have a problem. And the fan is very lucky that there was security to be there, because Russell was going to get in the stands and cause a problem. Now, the fine line part of it for me is, look, popcorn and fans and being into it for the right reasons is what makes sport great, whether it's the NBA, the NHL, whether you're overseas. But there also have been incidents that are not quite popcorn. There's things being said that are totally inappropriate, and fans that are acting in ways that they should be banned for life from arenas and from NBA games. So I'll be honest, I don't mind a little popcorn. I think it's probably going to help Russell play better, and it'll make him put on a better show next game. Although at the same time, we are talking about some other incidents which are more than popcorn, which is that other side of the fine line, and there needs to be, I think, some very big consequences for fans that act like that.
Agreed, Novi. Listen, fans, if you wouldn't do it to the 6'3" to 6'8", maybe 7-foot dude if he was standing in front of your face, you shouldn't do it behind being protected by your season ticket pass or whatever you think you got.